Hey, post nut clarity editor Rad here. While making this video and almost when I was about to export it, I just noticed that the mod just got changed to no longer in development. So yeah, wherever I mentioned in this video that ZMA might fix it or patch it out or something, yeah, that's not gonna happen. This release, it's the final release. So yeah, he probably got tired of all the people reporting him the bugs and whatnot, and I don't know. Anyway, enjoy the video.
Fake Factory Remaster. After what feels like an eternity, we finally got a public release of this mod by ZMA. Right off the bat, I gotta say that this has to be one of the best remaster mods ever made for this game. I've seen quite a few quote-unquote remaster mods in the past few years, and no disrespect to those modders, but only Mmod and Update are the only really good remaster mods out there. Even though Mmod's main focus is gameplay, and Update hasn't been updated in quite a while, so that's very ironic. But yeah man, FFR is like a stripped down version of the original Fake Factory cinematic mod, which I was obsessed with a few weeks back. Now, while Cinematics mod map changes were exaggerated to say the least, it was the character models and strange art design choices that didn't sell it for me. However, some parts of Cinematic mod were absolutely fantastic, while some parts were just ferns. What Fake Factory Remaster does is that it takes the original cinematic mod and quite literally removes all the useless and exaggerated stuff like extra 3D models and strange textures and of course the fucking ferns. This leaves us with what I would like to call a proper next-gen remaster for Half-Life 2. Like, seriously, for people like me who don't have a RTX card, who can't play Half-Life 2 RTX whenever it comes out, this is like the next best thing. Now keep in mind, this mod only affects the levels, the maps, and what's in them, so there's no new weapon models, no new character models, and I see this as a huge benefit as this will allow you to add in your own preferred character and weapon mods on top of it. That's an idea I might showcase in a future video. Anyway, right from the get-go you'll notice how fantastic everything looks. Textures have been upscaled or replaced entirely in favor of very true to source material like textures. Nothing feels out of place here, and this is something that most other remaster mods miss the point on. If I were to remaster a game, I would definitely go for higher quality textures that have the same surface as the texture I'm replacing, it has the same color palette, and most importantly, all of the textures I'd be using would be of the same resolution. This mod does all of that and it does it well. However, you will notice here and there that there are a few models which were left as default, which isn't a big problem unless you go up to them and look at them from a close angle. This part here where we jump out of the window after meeting Barney is where I realized how much of an impact this mod makes on the game. The mod brings in this sense of life into places that were previously left empty or locked up. It makes it feel like City 17 is more busier than what the original game shows it as. The train station terminal area I think had the best sort of update. It even had this cool looking APC from the concept art, while the original cinematic mod made it look like a city filled with skyscrapers and tall buildings and garbage and whatnot. FFR does this thing where it looks like the original game at first glance, but in the distant areas, or upon closer look, you'll see that there's now similar looking buildings and it expands the city in a very, true to source material way. It still feels like City 17 and not some random mixed up city with all sorts of weird models in it. I booted up Red Letter Day and then compared how the starting areas looked in comparison to the original game, and goddamn, it's a day and night difference without stepping out of Half-Life 2's original art style. ZMA really did an amazing job here and I gotta hand it to the man. This upgradation continues on with Root Canal. While I liked the Root Canal chapter in Cinematic Mod, here I feel it made the game look like if it came out in 2011 or something. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now, but like it makes it feel like it was made much later than 2004. It feels like a PS3, Xbox 360 era game rather than an early 2000s game. Cinematic Mod, however, made the mistake of having so much garbage put on the floor that it made the player stuck in many places. None of that happens here. And again, what I said earlier, this mod takes out the best out of Cinematic Mod and it makes it his own thing. Now I have to say, I saw many people share errors that they got while playing this remaster, including my own friends who tried it out. These errors include stuff like trigger boxes being visible and the FOV slider just being broken and not working, and just because those errors didn't happen to me doesn't mean they don't exist at all. So when you download this mod, try installing it on top of a fresh Half-Life 2 installation that may or may not fix the errors, and also give ZMA some time. I think he's studying for a medical degree, like he's becoming a doctor, so obviously he's busy in that too. But yeah, hopefully he'll be releasing more patches to fix these errors. I also want to talk about the lighting that's been redone in some places and how well they complement the new textures. This becomes apparent when I got to Water Hazard, and man does it look awesome. You see, this mod also changes the time of day a little bit in some of the maps. Rather than going from afternoon to evening like the original game, Water Hazard starts later in the afternoon, and by the time we reach Black Mesa East, it's nighttime. Some might not like this change, but I personally think it's a good way to freshen up the aesthetics of these chapters. Now, here it's the same story. These new structures and changes make the original levels look quite barren in comparison. These places now make sense to be here. They show locked doors and pathways that show that people do in fact come here and work the place or whatever. All in all, looking at Water Hazard made me smile because it visually looked so good. Like this time around, there's no more out of place cranes or buildings that just don't make sense being there. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I liked Cinematic Mod's Water Hazard, but I knew most people didn't like it because of how outrageous the new additions to it were. Black Mesa East starts off at nighttime like I said, and this was quite the mood. However, I did have a bit of an issue trying to figure out where to go because the usual entrance was blocked off. A minute or two later, I realized that this little opening was here. Even after getting inside this opening, I was still blocked off from entering the lab itself. Now, this makes sense in an in-universe logic, like of course Black Mesa East would be blocked off like this so they don't get caught by the Combine. It's much better than just stopping at the pier and casually walking inside. This makes it feel like Eli and the rest of the inhabitants made an effort of hiding themselves here. Inside, apart from the new textures and some new 3D models placed here and there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. So I skipped to Ravenholm. Oh boy, Ravenholm. Okay, I was expecting there to be some ups and downs in this mod, like something that I might not like or something off, but Ravenholm's starting is it's just not good, man. I mean, I have mad respect to ZMA for making this mod, but the starting part of Ravenholm is just all over the place. I do like the nod to that docks area from the beta, that was a cool touch, but the problem comes when you go to a place where there's not a single source of light. Then you use the flashlight, and seeing how this is not the episode 2 flashlight, it depletes real quick, and then you have to wait for it to recharge. The plus side is that some parts of this area actually did feel very unsettling, but I'd much rather prefer to see where I'm going than be spooked. And the thunder flash that happens for a few seconds was also a very good touch. First time playing through this revamped Ravenholm was honestly a frustrating experience, but visually, like I said, it had some good moments. However, once you clear this starting area, it goes back to the original layout, which was nice, but again, the lights have been removed from a majority of the places, and it all results in the player just going through pitch black areas trying to fend off zombies and monsters. It just becomes really annoying that you have to readjust and reorient yourself and figure out where to go. All this aside, the fantastic texture work carries on here too, and these Zen infestation things also looked great. All in all, there's definitely potential here, but as of right now, this Ravenholm is irritating to play through. The way the player is supposed to navigate this familiar looking but, with a new layout looking place It's just not as smooth as the original. Oh, and this minecart thing was here too, which was also a nice touch. This part that comes after the mines and before the Highway 17 chapter was such a mood, I can't really describe it in words. I love the new skybox and the different time of day here. It's like when you wake up around 4 am to get ready for a road trip and you head out in your car, and then there's a tiny bit of light, and it's technically still night. The word for that time of day I think is called twilight. Not that twilight, this twilight. But anyway, that along with the new additions like that amazing crane model, new textures, and an expanded skybox make this whole section very nice and comfortable, oddly. Then it's Highway 17, and I gotta say, this is epic. Like sure, it's a big departure from the original level's tone and atmosphere, but goddamn does this look fantastic and unique. Sunken ships in the water, a fresh update to the area surrounding us, it all adds up and it all just works. This looks like the most similar to the original cinematic mod version of this chapter. However, this doesn't have a billion trees in it, and it actually tries to guide the player by adding in segments of broken roads and other debris that act as a way of signposting. However, this might prove to be a little confusing for players who are used to the original Highway 17 layout, as the visual overhaul and map changes does make it very different to play. But yeah man, Fake Factory Remaster has to be one of the best, if not the best, remaster mods out there right now. Sure, Raven Home is a little lacking right now and there's quite a few errors people are getting while playing this mod, so hopefully ZMA will give us some sort of patches and whatnot in the coming weeks and months. And pairing this with M-Mod and other HD character and weapon models mods will do wonders I think, and for extra flavor, maybe some reshade as well. If I'm able to, I'll try to showcase this whole idea I'm talking about. One thing to note is that if you're having trouble installing this mod, it's because it's not a standalone source mod. You have to download the files and paste them on top of your Half-Life 2 folder. And they'll, automatically go where they have to go. And that's pretty much it for this one. Thanks for watching and a big thanks to these benefactors for supporting the channel. Adam McGill, Unusual, Dude Bro, Flamsy, Hydroponic Gardener, Young Yuva, Clay Pisser, It's Juro, Intercommissar, Taylor, Mistress Baban, HPR, Wooflo, Scooms, Owie, Nicholas Go, Imperial Embers, T-Boy301, Tombstone, Jack5282, Lucky You, Quiltman, 501st Clone Boy, Interloper CS, TTG, Robocop, Noel, Franco Senlehi, Justin Imbergriff, Tedasaur, Otakan Nachos, Lamdre, Roadkill, Walter, Geode, Fisher Grice, Hawkassault, Jelen, A Normal Street Lamp, TOR Droid, and Bipolet. Thanks again, and see you in the next one!